Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, I'm going to say, Call Halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakaha Kudash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who taught us his truth and rule well. And Shalom to the hope for the elect, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakaha Kudash, Barakatham. It's the brother Kazak coming back at it again with another lesson. And this lesson is going to be titled, The Agenda of Division. All right, now this is in the wake of this little song that this clown came out with, Tiger, you know what I'm saying? And he came out with, in the song called Like Karamba with a lot of, stereotypes, mainly, it's almost as if, he's disrespecting, the so-called Mexican culture, here in Babylon, and this is just another ploy, to further divide the tribes, all right, especially, out here in the West Coast, just for brothers that, might be in the South or brothers that might be in the East. I don't know how, certain things transpired between, I don't know how the relations are, with the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom, but, out here, it was pretty rocky, to say the least. And it's all mainly, due to the gang cultures, all that. You know what I'm saying? Just a bunch of wicked two-thirds, killing each other at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But either way, it was, very, divided to a point. I recall, one time I was, young, I was playing basketball, and I had a Judite friend, and then, this so-called Mexican, he comes up to us and he tells us, what we're doing here is a beautiful thing because, 5 years ago, you wouldn't be allowed to kick it. Basically saying that if we were seen together, our own sides would basically beat us up for even playing ball together. So that's how serious, the relations were, between the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom in these areas. So these elites, they know that, and I'm sure that they perpetuated that, because a lot of these jakes that are in these high positions, whether it be gangs, music, you know what I'm saying, just anything that has influence over Jake, over the tribes, they always, sellouts, man, whether it be the Northern Kingdom or the Southern Kingdom, so they know what they're doing. They're all, Masonic, all right, especially if you look at, gang culture and things like that, gang culture, music culture, it all has Masonic roots, and there's a lot of people that come out and expose these things. All right, so these people are not, real leaders of Israel. Okay, and that's one of the things, that a lot of so-called Black Latinos and Native Americans get misled into, is the whole game, because they need an identity and a form of belonging and leadership. And here you have, these people that's just completely leading them astray. So that's going into, the whole gang culture. Now you got the music, who the majority of these artists, what I'm saying, are just sellouts, man. All the big names in the music industry, just complete sellouts. All right, completely into them secret societies, doing abominable things, and ultimately, doing what Esau, the so-called white man, tells them to do. And that's why you have, the result is things like this. Here it is, you have a West Coast rapper. All right, here it is, you have the past relations, the rocky relationships that the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom, have, and they gonna come out with, stuff like this, man. Where he portrays himself as a so-called fat Mexican. As a fat Mexican, you got the nachos, you know what I'm saying, and just going off the stereotypes, man. It's a lot of other things, because I'm not of the tribe of Issachar, so I don't know, the certain, little things that's part of their culture, but this article, goes into it. I'm not gonna get into it, you know what I'm saying, but this article, goes into it, how he was just lumping, everything that has to do with Hispanics together into one song, and it's just a lot of the tribes found that offensive. And ultimately this is the music video, just going through the going through certain how do I put it to you? Certain opinions, certain comments that they said. You got this person, yo, as a Mexican American, this is hella disrespectful. I'm glad so many of the people from the black community are calling him out. All right, and that's true. And this is the unity. All right, because you see on the top comment, as a black man, this song is whack and hella disrespectful. So you see, this is the type of unity that Esau does not want to happen. Okay, and this is ultimately shows how he does not control anything. He thinks he's in charge. He thinks he could have, what I'm saying, these sellouts come out and try to sow discord, sow division amongst the brethren. You know what I'm saying? But he's failing, all right, because this thing is not of him. Now, granted, the majority of Israel here in Babylon is going to be cut off. They're gonna be destroyed. All right, the 2/3 here in Babylon, they're going to be destroyed, but it's going to be the 1/3 remnant, all right, that's going to be delivered. And the 1/3 remnant, a characteristic of that is seeing past these different devices, that are made to keep us separated. All right, so you see, as a black man, this song is this song is whack and hella disrespectful. I see where he was going with this, but this ain't it, champ. Only black fools make songs like this. I knew we grew up with Mexicans out here in LA and IE, but that doesn't give us the right to make songs like this. So hey, man, this is what Esau doesn't want, to happen ultimately. All right, because Esau knows that in these latter days, the tabernacle of David is going to get built up, man. All right, and the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom is going to get together. Okay, and guess what? You know what I'm saying? And all the contention between Judah and Ephraim, Judah being the southern kingdom and Ephraim being the northern kingdom, is going to be squashed. It's going to be done away with. Especially if you look at the younger generations, hey man, they rolling together. It's a beautiful thing that is going on. But also too, this devil, does this because he knows our history. Okay, he knows that there was a point in time when, when King Solomon went off, and after he passed away, what happened? The kingdom got split into two. You had the northern kingdom and you had the southern kingdom, and they had their feuds. There was that contention, and then the northern kingdom got carried away into captivity, and then they left, and then they left that captivity, according to 2nd Esdras chapter 13, 40 on down. And then they went over here. They got on ships, and they sailed over here, to the Americas. That's how the 10 tribes of Israel came here to the Americas. That's how they inhabited this place. And then Judah was left, out there in Israel, and then it wasn't until recent times, as it is written in the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13. All right, and the reason why I'm summarizing is not to take up too much time, but 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse, let me see. All right, so 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 46, or matter of fact, verse 46, it says, "Then dwelt they there until the latter time." All right, and that day is talking about the Latin tribes, the so-called American indigenous. They dwelt there. Where's there? Here in the Americas. All right, in this side of the world. Okay, until the latter time, so till now. All right, and it says, "And now, when they shall begin to come." Now that they is talking about the southern kingdom. During the transatlantic slave trade, that's how they came over here. Okay, and at the end of the day, we're all brothers. All right, we're all brothers at the end of the day. Okay, that's why it says Judah and Ephraim, all right, oppressed together. All right, let's get that. Jeremiah chapter 50 and 33. Let's bring that out. All right, so the book of, and it's like if you hear my cat meowing in the background, man. I'm doing this lesson in the garage, and usually, he gets kicked out to the garage, man. He be stinking up the house, man. But anyways, the book of Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33, and it reads, "Thus saith Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the power of hosts, the children of Israel all right, which represents the northern kingdom, and the children of Judah, which represents the southern kingdom, all right, were oppressed together. Okay, and we are oppressed together. All right, in Babylon we're oppressed. Okay, in Latin America we're oppressed. All right, look how Esau came and he took the land from the so-called Native Americans, the so-called Latino indigenous. Look how he came and took the land. You know, had slaves and things like that amongst not just the so-called Negroes, but also amongst the American indigenous. You know, and I say it like that because that covers the North American, Central American, and the Southern, and the South American. You know, the so-called, that is. You know, the indigenous people of them, right? So this is basically, you know, what we're facing here in Babylon. This is the situation. We're here, we're as slaves, all right? None of us are free, man. Okay, none of us are free to run anything or rule anything. Now, a sellout may have the illusion that he is free, or you could have somebody that, you know, becomes an entrepreneur and things of that nature. He may have the illusion that he's free, all right, but they're all soon going to find out, or when Esau, you know, turns off that switch, regarding these FRNs, these currency, that they were never free and they never ran anything in the first place. Okay, and at the end of the day, you know, we're all here yet to stay in our captivity. All right, and this thing is only for the elect, man. All right, because I saw, you know, I tuned into certain reactions. You know what I'm saying, and you know, when the topic of, you know, the Hebrew Israelites were brought up, you know, like for example, I got this marked down here in you know, of course, Issachar being simple, you know, a suiting title. All right, so mark this down. This is a dude, you know, who's over here. All right, let me see. All right,
man,
there.
what you gotta say about this?
Okay, and then it's on the minute 35, 38 through. So let me see. Around that timeline right there. I'm gonna put it at 20. Okay, so they having a discussion. They bring a few people, you know, on the board, but this is what they have to say, you know, when it comes to the Hebrew Israelite movement. You know, that's why this thing is only for the elect, man. All right, now these guys, don't get it wrong. They push, you know, black and brown unity. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been through, because these are, you know, older generation. They've been through, you know, they were there, you know, when wars was going on in the streets and stuff like that. You know, and now they pushing the unity between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, and that's what irks Esau the most. You know, but when I make this point, you know, this thing's only for the elect. You know, this is why. All right, now I gotta, you know, listen closely, make sure I get it right.
You may not agree, because this is what it is. Okay, first of all, let's go to Destiny's thing, right? She's absolutely right. There's a huge movement in America with not all, again, with to me it's almost the cuckoo African American, a small percentage that say they are the original people. It's almost like the Israelite type thing. That I forgot what that.
It's a branch.
Yeah, that major.
It's a cult. It's a cult.
It is. It's a cult.
It's called pro-black Afrocentrism.
All right, so you heard what he said. You know, he said it's almost like the Israelite thing. So he knows about the Hebrew Israelites. You know, and then one of the ladies there, she asked, "Oh, what's the Hebrew Israelite thing?" It's a cult. You know, one of them just quick on the gun. It's a cult. It's a cult. Doesn't even know what the word cult means. You know, but that's another, you know, topic right there. So this is why, you know, when we make these videos, this thing is only for the elect, man. All right, because these people, even though they push the same narrative, you know, they push, you know, certain things that go in line with the scriptures. All right, a lot of these people are not going to make it. Okay, and at the end of the day, it's Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai using that as his own device, his own agenda to bring the elect into the truth. Okay, because you're gonna have so-called blacks, so-called Latinos, so-called Native Americans growing up, and they're gonna hear the black and brown unity. All right, and then when they see us in the streets teaching, if they're of the elect, it's gonna be easier, you know, to knock the old bones out. You know, certain things, you know what I'm saying, that was ingrained in them from the older generations, not necessarily ingrained in them from the older generations, but certain things that were ingrained, all right, in certain generations, they're not going to have to deal with that, you know? And that's just what it is, you know what I'm saying? If you look at it like this, we in a time of Amos 9:11, all right? Because at the end of the day, you know, all that animosity is going to be done away with because we're in this era. All right, the book of Amos, I put 8, Salakia. Book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 11, and it reads, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen." All right, and we have fallen. Why? Because we're not in our kingdom. All right, we lost our identity until recent times. Okay, and ultimately we are in captivity. All right, we went off. Okay, and therefore we are serving our punishment, which is us being in captivity. All right, so we have fallen, but guess what? In these days, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is raising up the tabernacle of David. Lord willing, we are of that number, because that's the elect. Okay, and it reads, "And close up the breaches thereof, and there, so okay, and I will raise up his ruins." All right, so rewind it back a little bit. It says, "And close up the breaches thereof," and now those breaches is talking about the past feud. They ain't, because this thing is nothing new. All right, this whole beef between the so-called Mexicans and the so-called black, that's nothing new, man. That goes back to the ancient times when Jeroboam and Rehoboam was feuding with each other. And nothing is new under the sun. These people are the same people in the reincarnation. Those that are in that same spirit trying to come up against each other, they those same people in the reincarnation. All right, the same subjects in the reincarnation. All right, and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is not dealing with that. He's dealing with the house of David. He's dealing with the elect. All right. So let's go again. "And close up the breaches thereof," meaning he's going to bring them together. He's going to do away with all the animosity, all the contention. We're still under the curses. Jake got the evil eye. You know what I'm saying? But hey, that's going to be done away with. Not the curses, but the evil eye. It's going to be done away with. Especially when we receive the new bodies, ain't gonna be no hating on somebody just because he on another tribe. That's that wicked 2/3 spirit, man. All right, but it reads, "And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old." So he's gonna restore us back to our ancient glory, man. He's gonna restore us back to our ancient glory. And the house of David was unstoppable when we were in our glory. All right, was when King David was on the scene. These nations feared us. Okay, they feared us because they ran through them. All right, so they ran through them. He ran through them. Esau, the so-called white man, hey, that's why he does these things. That's why he comes out, with these let me see. He comes out with these with these devices, these little shots, and it's real devilish. And that's another reason why this devil's going into slavery, man. That's the reason why this devil's going into slavery, man. All right, because I don't know why, it's not in me. I don't see how Tiger could come up with this stuff, man. And if you do, then fuck it, man. He finna be destroyed, man. You know what I'm saying? Why you vexing Ephraim? But that's the reason why these devils are going into slavery. All right, because guess what? They're trying to keep that division going. They're trying to keep that little beef going. And those that get sucked into that beef, they're not gonna make it. All right, if you're in this truth and you have an evil eye toward your brother because he's so-called black or because he's so-called Latino, you are not going to make it, man. Because Yahweh Bashem Yahushai looketh on the outward, not the inward. All right, that is a carnal spirit. That's that Fopi spirit. That's that ancient watchman spirit. Those are two camps of the same category in different spectrums. So like in the two extremes, in the two sides of the pole, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. These people are not going to make it. All right. So let's go into let me see. Judah, Vex. Man, I have to look it up again. Let me see. Yeah, we're done with this article. So Judah vex Ephraim, KJV. All right, so Isaiah 11 and 13. All right, let's go to that. And we're going to close out with this. Okay, so it reads, the book of Isaiah chapter 11, verse 13. All right, and it reads, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. And Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. All right, this is what's going to be made manifest. Okay, this is what's coming to pass, actually. You know, you see the unity. You know what I'm saying? You see the unity. And you got people on both sides being knuckleheads. They ain't going to be destroyed. They're going to be cut off. Because at the end of the day, it's things about the elect. All right? And it's only the elect that's going to hear and truly understand. Like, you know, as you just heard, you know, these are people that push black and brown. But, hey, that's what they had to say about the Hebrew Israelite thing. You know, this thing is only for the elect. All right? So don't fall for the hype out there. You know what I'm saying? That because ultimately, you know, if it ain't of Yahweh Shemi Shai, it's not conducive to salvation, man. Okay? Because what's taking place is the book of Ezekiel. Let me see. I think it's 37. Yup. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 37. All right. Let me just go into yeah, there it is right there. All right. That exceedingly great army is being raised up, man. You know, Ezekiel 37 and 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. Okay, because this devil, he knows, you know, what's going to happen to him. He knows that he's going to be thrown, he's going to go into slavery at the hands of the so-called black, Latino, and Native American man. All right, he knows. So what's he trying to do? He's trying to divide the tribes. And the crazy thing is, you know, even amongst I'm sure, you know, it's a lot of division. I mean, of course, there's a lot of division amongst the Southern Kingdom, Bloods, Crips, you know, light skin, dark skin, GDs, BDs, whatever, you know, the gangs that there are. You know what I'm saying? And then you have you know, maybe you got Jakes that's from, you know, Haiti or something. Maybe they face some type of, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they face some type of not discrimination, but, you know, they face that evil eye, you know. And the same thing with the Latin tribes. You know what I'm saying? You got, you know, it's more so, you know, with the countries. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I experience it. You know, it's more so with certain countries. You know, like Naphtali and Asher, for example. You know, that's two countries that they control. You know, Asher would control, you know, Peru, and then Naphtali would control Chile. They do not get along. They do not get along. They had actual wars that broke out in the past between these two countries. You know, and that's what these devils play on. That's what these devils bank on. You know, because he knows that when we wake up, we're going to be an exceedingly great army. And I'm not saying this in the carnal sense that we're going to have guns and we're going to lock and load and take this devil out of rulership through that. No, I'm saying that in the sense that the elect, being of the 12 tribes of Israel, is going to get raised up with spiritual power. All right. And especially when we receive, Lord willing, we're of the elect, when we receive those incorruptible bodies. All right, we're going to come down. It's going to be open season on these devils, man. Okay? So this is, you know, Esau trying to do the best he can to try to, you know, prolong the inevitable, man. All right? Trying to, you know, restore, or not necessarily restore, but reinvoke, you know, that old animosity between the two sides. All right? And also, too, you know, hey, let me see. Now that I'm in this chapter, all right, let's jump down to verse 16, and it reads, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write it upon it for Judah, and for the other Israel and his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel and his companions. Okay, so you have one stick that represents the Southern Kingdom, the so-called Negroes, all right, and you know, so-called West Indians, which would be modern day Jamaicans, you know, the Bahamas, right, and then you had a Levi, which is, you know, so-called Haitians, all right, and then you have, you know, these are like the darker skinned tribes, you know, and then you have the other stick, which represents the Northern Kingdom, which is Ephraim, you know, which goes into all the, you know, indigenous peoples of the Americas. All right, so verse 17, and join them one to another, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. And this is what's taking place. All right, it starts in this truth. That's what's taking place. That's what is manifesting. And Esau cannot stop that. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna go, all right, with this precept. Let me see. Ignorant. All right, and we're gonna go, let me see. There it is, right there. All right, so the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and 11, and it reads, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing, because I was on the phone, you know, with brothers, and brothers got it, man. You know, I was talking to this about, you know, brothers, and brothers saw, you know, one heard about it, and he already knew what it was, man. You know, brothers, we already know what it is, man. It's just Esau trying to divide the tribes, so that discord between the brethren. You know, but you're going to have knuckleheads out there, especially in the world, you know, which we're not concerned with them anyways. You know, that's going to try to, you know, rekindle that fire, you know, try to rekindle that, you know, that hatred, you know, and further amplify the curses that these devils, you know, do. They're basically playing the hand of this devil, man, you know, doing the work of Satan, you know. So the next precept I'm going to get, all right, hold on. Actually, I'm just gonna look it up, because, you know, it's the old English, and since this Bible app is very, you know, particular with the spelling, you know, I'm just gonna look it up just to, you know, not waste time. All right, so Hosea 4 and 6. All right, and it reads, all right, because ultimately this was gonna happen to you know, those that don't get the program. Ultimately, those that are not of the elect, you know. So book of Hosea chapter 4 verse 6, and it reads, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. All right, because thou hast hated knowledge, I will also reject thee. You know, and another example of that, you know, as I was watching, you know, said person, you know, the same ones that said that about the Hebrew Israelite thing, you know, they was talking about, you know, racism this and racism that. You know, but you can't be racist against your own nation. All right, but this is because of that lack of knowledge that they have, you know, and also that willful ignorance in this case, where they don't acknowledge being the same nation. They you know, they just don't acknowledge being in the same nation. You know, they don't. All right, this is just an example. You know, what happened here, you know, is an example of Judah vexing Ephraim. You know, it don't have to do with, you know, racism or nothing like that. You know, it's just Judah vexing Ephraim, and that's going to be done away with, according to the prophecies. All right, but when they do that, you know, how, you know, it creates you know, it creates a divide. You know what I'm saying? Where you say, okay, well, they're being racist, because that creates a divide. You know, and really they're the same people. You know, so it's really how do I put it to you? You know, that's just an example of why, you know, they're destroyed for a lack of knowledge. You know, so Hosea 4 and 6, once again, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. All right, so a lot of these people will be rejected. Okay, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I also will forget thy children. Okay, so, hey, you know, these people now, you know what I'm saying? Majority of these people that's gonna play into these these agendas, they're gonna be destroyed, man. All right, they're gonna be destroyed. Okay, it's gonna get sucked up into these agendas. They're gonna be destroyed, man. So, hey, with that, I'm gonna say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahawashi, Bahashim Rachaha Kodash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Lord willing, it was edifying. With that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next.